In a week when we've seen a departure in the WWE, quite a shocking departure in WWE, a popular AEW tag team seems to be reforming, and a Death Rider has been gained. We've crowned new Crockett Cup winners in the NWA, and the WWE have sold their soul to the devil themselves. We'll get into all of that and all more, or all that and more on This Week in Wrestling with me, of course, your host, Adam Cousins, coming across two platforms, Heating the Turnbuckle and our sister channel, the Wrestling Edge podcast as well. And I'm joined, as you can see, for those of you watching on the YouTube. The problem child is back, Mr. Dave Robinson. Good evening, Dave.
Evening, mate. You okay? You liking the retro Dub C Dub cap? Like that?
That, now you see, if we'd had Eric Bischoff on, that's something. If we ever get him back, which I'm trying to get him back on, that's a great hat, but you need to wear that
I
hat.
got I had it, mate, to be honest. I was having a bit of a sort out of things, and I was like, how did I forget about this wonderful piece of headgear? I thought I'll wear it tonight
It's good.
on
It's look good.
on both channels.
Both channels, yeah, yeah. Whereas we to say the back catalogue of our interviews will be going on Wrestling Edge as well, so you'll be seeing both of those. Yes, Dave, it's been a bit of a week in the WWE, and the messages I've been sending you over the past few days have obviously set my tone for this evening. But we're not going to talk about that right away because I don't want to, well, say sour the food, so to speak. We will be souring the food very, very shortly. But first things first, it broke, I think, yesterday some shocking news that Andrade El Idolo has been released by the WWE. Now, some more details have come out today. So, from what we know, it's a disciplinary issue. He did also fail a wellness test. He's been ghosting the WWE for weeks and he was escorted out of SmackDown, apparently, according to reports. Anyway, does this sound familiar to his AEW run at all?
See, I'm going back and forth with this because I'm a big fan of Andrade in terms of the in-ring performer.
Mm,
I thought he was a great get for AEW a couple of years ago when he left. Well, it's longer than that now, wasn't he? He's been back for 18 months.
mm.
I didn't like how they brought him into AEW. I thought it could have been done better, and he came in with Vicky Guerrero as well, which I've got a lot of respect for Vicky. Um, but I thought there was a better way to deploy Andrade. In saying that, what he actually did in matches and in ring, on the whole, was pretty good. He was involved with the Continental Classic, I believe, the
Yep,
first one. Pretty
first one, I
sure he
think.
was, and he had some great matches. But there is seemingly an attitude problem, or now again, he's gone back to WWE. He was married at the time to Charlotte.
Hmm.
That was probably a huge influence in him going back there because allegedly he was quite close to re-signing with AEW. I don't
Yeah,
think he's necessarily burnt any bridges with AEW.
no.
So he's the way that Andrade, he's the way he's been treated since he's back in WWE. A better use of Andrade or a worse use of Andrade than how he was being used in AEW. So again, you could probably see I'm still figuring this out as to what I think and how I feel about it. Because ultimately the question is, do I now think AEW are going to go back in for him?
Yeah.
And I'm not so sure whether they will, purely because it seems a really happy locker room and things are really good in a good place.
Mhm.
A few of the ex-WWE guys that allegedly caused some issues with booking or, aren't there anymore. So would I potentially want the boat rocking by him going back there? I don't know. What do you think? What do you think of Andrade? How do you think he was used initially in WWE? He's running AEW, he's running WWE, and do you think that he has got a bad attitude or there's problems there, or do you think it's just you know, is he just a victim of circumstance?
Well, fa failing wellness under TKO probably wasn't wise if he's
Yeah.
done that. If he's ghosted WWE, then again, you don't do that. You don't ghost Tony.
Unprofessional. Yeah.
No, and you don't ghost Tony Khan either if he's your boss, right?
Yeah.
You have those conversations with him. His first run in WWE I thought was fine until he got called up to the main roster, which is everyone's problem. His NXT run was great. The moment he gets called up, they don't know what to do with him. Going to AEW was probably the better move for him at the time. Don't know what happened there. It seemed perfect. I know that Roosh and the people from Less Factioning God, whatever they were called, have already tweeted
Going
out.
so well, mate. It was going so well until you got to the last word.
To that last word, they've tweeted out about him coming back, making some sort of comment or some little time things, potentially that they're going to be turning. MJF has already tweeted out about him meeting up with him in CMLL in the future. I don't think the door is fully closed on AEW. It'd be interesting. He'd be the first person to go WWE, AEW, back to WWE, and then go back to AEW. TNA.
Modern day TikTok.
What? Yeah, he's one of those journeymen in football, isn't he? He just goes around places. He won't go TNA. That I think that's out of the question. I think that's the WWE are too controlling. I actually need to add a bit of other news to the NWA piece. I know you're not familiar with NWA, but I'll get into it in a bit. Where do I think he's going? I wouldn't be shocked if he ended up back in AEW. Triple R obviously out of the question for more reasons than one. They're obviously owned by WWE, so you forget about that. Um, but if it is the attitude, and it certainly seems that way across both promotions, I mean, I know he didn't necessarily burn bridges in AEW, but as you rightfully said, that locker room now seems to be in a good place. And that my only concern for him going back there was, would that deflate that locker room a bit, or would he cause issues in there that we could be seeing those problems again, which I don't think AEW need right now.
No, and then I think, well, he's the kind of a pay for per appearance, a better deployment of him to
Probably
bring him for occasional bangers, which he's more than capable of. Even in WWE, like in this one, he's had some good matches.
mellow.
He got thrown with Ray Phoenix, which for me was a peculiar pairing.
Mm.
In many, well, just because of Penta, really.
Yeah, they were going to be they were scheduled to win the tag team championships. That was the plan.
Yeah.
That's not happening, obviously.
But is Andrade happy to be a tag team, even a tag team champion? I don't know. I don't know. Only he can answer that, I suppose. And yeah, the optics aren't good when you read some of those things, the wellness test, the ghosting. But who knows what's going on in his personal life and what things he might need a bit of support with. He's obviously gone through a divorce or a separation from Charlotte, which can't have been easy. Obviously, it's in the public domain as well, which adds another element. So if we're just looking at his talent as a performer and as a wrestler and as being an asset to a company, he would be a great asset to AEW. He was a great asset to the WWE, but obviously it hasn't worked out. So as you said, I don't think the door's closed, but they were going to have to really proceed with caution and yeah, make sure that it's not going to cause any disruption or affect the harmony in the locker room, which AEW certainly has right now, or appears to have right now.
Players and divorce, eh? It just goes hand in hand, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
That does. We don't know what happened. I mean, listen, it's news, but you said, if Andrade wants a voice, I mean, we're here. You can have your voice right here if you want. But look, we'll find out. I'm sure more stuff will come out. More stuff will be out during the day. Actually, just wanted to switch gears slightly. The world of sport in the UK has been rocked today by the death of Ricky Hatton, the former professional boxer. Look, we don't know the circumstances of the death, and but we do know that Ricky did have the mental health issues and stuff like that. So the point I was trying to make at this point of this is, it's okay. I think you hear this a lot, right? It's okay not to be okay. And look, sometimes I know that people struggle to talk to people, but talk to people, even if it's just stupid, like sending a random message to a famous person on socials. Hey, look, our mailbox is open. We might necessarily, if it's in America and you send us a message, bear in mind the time difference, but we'll respond. Okay, so if you think it's better talking to people that you don't know, just send a message to us on Instagram or Twitter or TikTok or whatever, and we will answer that message. It just may be if you're in America, like I say, and you're doing it at a certain time, the message may be delayed. But talk to people, either people that you like, people that you love, people that you care about, or just talk to. I mean, when I went through a bad spell with my heart, I messaged Will Ospreay out of the blue, and he messaged me back, funnily enough. But yeah, that's the
Yeah.
point, right? But the whole point of it, that was totally different, illness and stuff like that. But just and throwing it out there for everybody, just
Yeah, I
recap.
mean, I think that's a really nice thing to do and a really nice thing to say, mate. I've suffered with mental health issues. I make no secret about it. I've been on and off antidepressants for years and years, and yeah, I'm in a really good place right now. Really, really good. But wrestling, as funny as it may sound to non-wrestling fans, I think, we get the stick of being wrestling fans, mate. We've always got it. We kind of 40-year-olds, a lot of our friends, and we've spoke about this at length on the podcast. A lot of friends, oh yeah, wrestling. I used to watch it when I was a kid. Well, we still watch it. We still absolutely love it, and that's why we do this. And wrestling
Exactly.
has always been there for us, and it's definitely helped me through some difficult times when I've just wanted to switch off and not think about some
Mm.
things that have been going on in my life. And yeah, you can consider us part of the community. And if anyone listening to this, stumbles across it or listen every week, or anyone involved with any of the promotions that you've kind of supported, Ignite in the UK, across the pond, just reach out, drop us a message, and we will
Yeah.
always try and do whatever we can to help.
Yeah, and we will always get back to it. Just as I said, if you're in the States and you do it, or you message us at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, just bearing in mind that we may not get you back to you straight away, but we'll definitely respond to the message. But talk to people, honestly, everyone. Just talk to somebody. Don't care who it is. Just don't, I know it's easier said than done, but just do it. Anyway, back to wrestling now, and I'm gonna get increasingly pissed off as we start talking about the next two subjects. I'm not talking about the obvious one to begin with, but I'm going to talk about another one.
Warm up to it, mate. Warm up to it.
Warm up, warm up to it, yeah. Um, we have this thing in the last few weeks we've been talking about it. Ticket prices is what we've been talking about, and we're showing our disdain for the pricing especially within the WWE mantra for ticket price. And I think I read it last week, $37,500 for you to sit there through 2 nights of WrestleMania front row, and they give you all these little bits and pieces. Mark Chaparano, I think his name is, guy from TKO was interviewed this week. And the quote that he put out and the quote that he's put out on the internet was that Vince McMahon didn't maximize the opportunity of tickets because he targeted it at a family audience pricing. So obviously that TKO are not going to TKO are maximizing the opportunity by raising those prices, and I don't quite get what he meant by that, but I'm going to add something to that, Dave, before I hand over to you. And Vince has look, he's done a lot of things wrong, right? And listen, I'm not going to sit here and I'm not going to, I'm going to blow smoke up his ass now, but it doesn't mean to say I agree with everything he's done. Like, my feelings on what he's done.
Yeah, yeah.
What Vince McMahon done with ticket pricing has basically kept WWE going through generations upon generations upon generations because it is the fact that he made the ticket pricing family friendly, where mothers and fathers could afford to take their kids to go to watch the wrestling show. The kids liked it, they want to go back. They can afford to do that because they've done the pricing. The kids grow up to be older like us. They still go. They go on their own at that point. They go with their friends. They meet new people, a bit like us. Um, and then they have kids, and they introduce those kids to wrestling. Those kids love wrestling. They want to go. They want to see it. So the pricing that Vince McMahon done wrestling for generations upon generations upon generations. What TKO have done is they're just pricing. They don't care about, basically, to quote a Brock Lesnar line, they don't give a shit about your kids. They just want your money and your money now. And I think it's an absolute fucking disgrace what he said this week.
I totally, totally agree. I thought it was an absolute disgusting, deplorable statement. Yeah, I detest Vince McMahon, to be honest,
Mm,
for
agreed.
even going back the Owen Hart stuff. Never forgive
Mm,
him for that. And there's other stuff over the years, obviously
yeah.
the latest stuff. But yeah, in terms of being able to offer his product to families to be able to go out and spend that time together. Generations of families, grandparents, kids, the parents, aunties, uncles, brothers, sisters. Yeah, to kind of completely come away from that and just exploit people and exploit the high earners in America, in the UK, to take people for granted to and also seemingly the way I read it was like this is just the start. We're just going to keep raising prices and raising prices and raising prices. Like they got it wrong. There was so much more potential here to um, make this a much more profitable business by continuously increasing ticket prices. I thought it was disgusting, mate. Really, really disgusting. And this isn't a reflection on the performers and the wrestlers, and that's just a that's just the reflection of the company now that he owns the WWE, and it worries me for the future. And it kind of makes me want them to fail, which I
Yeah.
don't want to say because I'm a huge wrestling fan and I want the best WWE product. I want the best AEW product. But I kind of want people to not go. But because they're making so much money off the people that do go, it just continues. I think it's absolutely just I can't, I'm probably more upset about this than what we're gonna talk about in a few minutes. Um, it's just exploiting people, and it's so needless and unnecessary and shameful.
Yeah, and I would say this because a lot of people about this, and a lot of what we're going to talk about in a second, are blaming people like Triple H, and I've kind of like I've refrained from commenting on social media because you know what it's like. You say one thing and then everything else comes. The bottom line with this is Vince McMahon, the WWE was Vince McMahon or the McMahon family. That was it. That's where the buck stopped. So if anything went wrong in that company, there's the person to blame. You can't blame Triple H for decisions that were clearly made above him. He may not necessarily agree, but he's obviously a company guy. So he may have had those meetings and they may have, everything that's just we're going to talk about. He may have said no, don't want to do it or whatever, but it seems like Nick Khan's got something to do with this as well. But what the point I'm trying to get at is it is now WWE is owned by a company. They are a pawn in this company called TKO, along with UFC. So when these ticket prices and that come out, it's not necessarily. I'm not saying Triple H may not have had a hand in the decision or may not have been a part in the decision, but ultimately, that buck now stops with TKO, and they're the problems in this. That's my view on it anyway. I don't know. I don't know. That's just
Yeah,
how I
yeah,
see
I
it.
absolutely. I think there's probably there's a lot of people that work for WWE, and there's a lot of people that unfortunately have got no say, got no
Yeah.
influence. And I would imagine as well, even people like Triple H, if they're even part of these meetings, they're probably just, they got no influence. They're not going to fight it too much. They're just going to go along with it to a degree. And as I say, even if they did voice dissatisfaction, what they're going to do, there's nothing, they can give an opinion. TK are going to do it regardless. So yeah, I don't blame anybody in the creative, in the day-to-day
No.
running of the shows or, nothing like that. It's coming from above, it's coming from the top. It's opportunistic and yeah, it's just, with the cost of living, the crisis and the everything, there is a limit to a gig ticket or a football match. Yeah, there's a limit. There's an acceptable limit, and yet prices are going to go up and running costs are going to increase. And I've had to do it within my business. At times, we've had to reluctantly put prices up and send emails out to customers and say, like, from this date, unfortunately, we're going to have to increase our prices for these reasons. And it's a horrible thing, and I hate doing it. But there's that, and then what they're doing is, oh, what, we can get people to pay 50 grand for this ticket. Like, just doesn't like we spoke about it last week, and I just thought the arrogance of the statement and the tone of it. And again, I've read it, I didn't hear it, so maybe certain things can be taken out of context, but I suspect not. I suspect exactly as our is the outrage over this and the reports off the back of it are absolutely spot on, given what was said.
Yeah, given what's said, and now to make things even worse, well, in some ways, right? So there was a big announcement. There were, to be honest, and this is kind of the thing. I think it's the GEC, I believe, in Saudi Arabia, actually leaked this before the WWE did. They announced that in 2027 they were going to have WrestleMania, which was news to everybody at the time. Obviously, that WWE have been flaunting this idea of WrestleMania going to overseas. and it's been really and the stuff they've done overseas has been really successful. There's no doubt about it. The ticket prices and whatever you want, the people are still buying it, so that they've gone over there. And we've had great shows in France, we've had shows in Belgium, Italy, Australia, over obviously here in the UK. Um, but now, and the statement from the GEC, I believe it was made true on Friday when the WWE done a whole big YouTube announcement to say that yes, indeed, WrestleMania is going to be in Saudi Arabia in 2027. They get the Royal Rumble this year, and next year they get WrestleMania. So over the course of 2 years, they've got the two, in my view, the two biggest pay-per-views in the WWE calendar. And this isn't. I'm not bitter because I'm from the UK and I wanted it over here. Listen, we get to watch a WrestleMania at like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So for us, time-wise, it's brilliant. I just think for the whole way in which Saudi Arabia is still run as a country, I don't like it. I don't like the politics. I don't like the unfairness of how they treat women over there as well. And look, I go back to money. I can't blame the WWE for the monetary side of things, right? It's like anything. It's like football, right? If you put a bid in for a player the club value him at 20 million, you put a bid in at say I don't know, 10, 15 million, but a club goes in and puts a bid in of 60, 70 million, they're going to accept that bid, aren't they? So from a bid perspective, I'm not going to sit here and say, that it was wrong for them to do that. They've got 200, I think it was $250 million for WrestleMania, 150 million for the Royal Rumble. I mean, if that's what it is, that's what it is. But for me, Dave, it's the effects or the ethics of what Saudi Arabia believe in as a country that for me doesn't sit well for me that they're going to take that over there. And they brung the women out for the announcement. And you look at the announcement, you look at the people behind Triple H in that announcement. None of them were smiling. None of them seemed happy about it. I don't necessarily know that's true, but for me, that is an absolute shocking decision from the WWE, and it is motivated by one thing, and that's the cold green of the dollar.
Yeah, and it's exactly the same. I mean, this the relationship with Saudi Arabia started before TKO,
Yeah.
but again, it's another opportunity to just, you know, just look at it from a business point of view. And it is a business, and I'm not hugely surprised, to be honest. There's a
No.
lot of sports now that, you look at the F1 and you look at all the money that's thrown around there, and WWE has kind of slotted into that. I'm not really a fan of it, but as you said, there are some benefits from our point of view in terms of an early show when it comes around. I hope this is the start of kind of worldwide WrestleManias, and it will come to the UK. It will go to the likes of France and Belgium, and you know, there's an opportunity there now. Maybe this is the first one. I'd like to think that others will follow, but it would be very naive of me to think that this was anything other than a money spinning exercise. I think, again, like you said about the performers standing behind, they did look quite glum, all of them from the pictures that I saw. And yeah, the human rights issues is a big consideration. Now, who knows if these people that are in charge in Saudi Arabia, if they've got any influence in terms of the politics of the country. I don't know. Maybe they are just saying we want to bring the absolute best sport and entertainment that the world has to offer to our country, and we can afford to do that. And that's where the WB slots in. And obviously in the early days, the women weren't part of the shows at all.
Mm.
I know they're covered up now, and they have to wear kind of clothing um, that's deemed acceptable by the country and by the culture there. So I suppose you could say that, and this is the argument WWE would use, that they're helping to bring things forward and they're helping to, those women in Saudi Arabia are seeing these female performers on the big stage at an event like WrestleMania, and they can aspire to do something like that themselves one day. That will be the way they would spin it, and which I believe that is another thing.
Yeah, well, we got it though. WrestleMania 2027, Saudi Arabia. There we go. For everybody's for your viewing pleasure, everyone. We may have to do it. Maybe we might do it live, as it's going to be those nice and early times for us, I suppose. But yeah,
Be
we'll
interesting for me, mate, how many people make the trip because obviously you've got a lot of international fans that go to
yeah,
WrestleMania. That's where, as we've documented on this show many times, that's where we met traveling over to Miami. So be interesting to see what kind of show it will be, how many people travel there, what the general, because it's not just the women in the ring that have kind of have to meet those standards or expectations. It's going to be people in the crowd and the audience as well, I'd imagine. So, we'll see how that plays out.
probably get to see Shawn Michaels versus The Undertaker one last time over there, maybe. Who knows? You know what the Saudis are like for a bit of nostalgia. They love it.
Well, on that note, I wish we saw recently the image of Sting, who's kind of stopped dyeing his hair and beard, and I don't know, I kind of couldn't help but to feel a little bit sad. But then I saw the Undertaker there as well, and he's done the same, and it's like, man, our heroes are getting old, and so are
Yeah.
we.
So we exactly that. Punk and Austin would be my bet.
Yeah,
Two
yeah.
years away, but we were a year, 18 months away. Anyway, could happen. Anyway, us go. Last thing on WWE quickly. I did say I wanted to bring NWA into this, and I will. So in March, so what NWA do, they just for your thing is they do these events. So they filmed this back in I think in May time, sorry, not March, but it's only just aired over here. So it's only just aired on television. So they do things, and you see it months and months down the line. It's just how they do their stuff. I don't agree with it, but it's how they do it. Um, but they made this big deal, and it's called the Crockett Cup, right? So David Crockett, Jim Crockett, one of the most prestigious wrestling tag team cups in
Yeah.
wrestling. And on the show, I'll tell you who won the Crockett Cup later. But as part of the show, they was going to have an NWA Women's Championship match, and it was going to be Kenzie Page versus Natalia. Now, Natty Neidhart, right? Now that match took place at the NWA, took place at the Crockett Cup. It was 11, 12-minute match. Generally, have long matches go on NWA television. Apparently, from the people in attendance, it was one of the best women's matches they've seen before. WWE have not allowed NWA to air that match or Power. So the one match, not the one match, there was other matches on the show. Obviously, there was 5 weeks worth of TV recorded, and last week was the final week of NWA Power. Now it's not officially come out that they've stopped them doing it, but that match is not to be aired on television.
So they've allowed one of their performers to appear for a different promotion,
Mhm.
but they're not letting that promotion air it as part of their weekly
Apparently not.
show.
Apparently so. Apparently. I don't know that to be true, but that's kind of the general consensus.
It's not it's not unique in many ways. I remember going to a Fight Club Pro show a few years ago, and the main event was the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega
Mhm.
taking on Trent Seven, Tyler Bate, and Pete Dunne. But because the UK guys were under a contract with the WWE,
Yeah.
it wasn't allowed to be filmed, and it was like a lights out type
Mhm.
scenario. It wasn't, it was part of
Yeah.
the show, it was the main event, but they weren't allowed to film it. So they couldn't use any of it for promotional purposes or anything like that.
Weird
So
thing about yeah, the weird thing about this one is they've done like all these promos. They actually put stuff out on YouTube like Kenzie going to the dungeon and attacking Natty and Kenzie rocking up a blood sport and stuff like that. And it was really weird because what NWA normally do a good job of doing is like highlighting stuff that's coming up on the show.
yeah,
And they never once highlighted this match. And I'm thinking maybe as we get nearer the end, we would see it. And anything they've done, everything they've done for it, it just feels like they've done all this work and effort. And Kenzie Page is one of the best women's wrestlers out there. That's not technically under a full-time wrestling contract. She co-runs her own promotion at 21 years old with her sister and her father, KFW, over I think it's in Tennessee. I want to say I could be wrong with that location, but it's around that way. Um, I just feel they've done so much work on this, and for them, and if it's true they've not been allowed to air it, I think it's. I know Natty lost the match, Kenzie won it. She was never going to win the women's championship for fuck's sake, but I just feel it's a disgrace if they've not allowed them to do that. That's my thing.
yeah, agree. The fact that they kind of feel they can't feel threatened by NW. They don't feel threatened by AW. It's just petty.
Mm.
Just I don't
Pretty.
know. It's just needless. It's just like if it's not as if now he's like as legendary a career she's had and a long career and all the people she's helped and worked with along the top. It's not as if she's doing much on the main show. Like
Nothing recently.
no, it's not detracting from the WWE products at all. It's enhancing it, if anything. You know, it's just a baffling. It's a power play, and uh, I just, Vince has gone, and for all the bad stuff we could talk about, there was some good stuff, but there was stuff like that that you would think that type of stuff that would go with him, but unfortunately, as much as the people have changed, things like that have stayed the same, and I think it's loosened up a little bit, given the stuff with TNA and stuff. But again, that's only because there's a huge vested interest in that, and that the part of the collaboration with TNA is to affect AEW, and to kind of just mess with AEW and just that's just I'm lost for words really. Why do that? Why even let her do it in the first place if that's the way they're going to handle it?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. But hey, hey, it is what it is. Right, let's move on to something different now. Something that we can actually talk about and have a, good chat about, which is AEW. Seem to be putting on some great stuff at the minute. Obviously on the road to All Out next weekend, WrestlePalooza next weekend. So we'll get to that. Big story coming out about AEW Dynamite at least was the Daniel Garcia being a Death Rider. He's done a lot of groups, hasn't he, Garcia, since he's been there. And I just want, I don't know, and maybe, do they know what to do with Daniel Garcia? Because he's a great, don't get me wrong, he's super talented. I think he's a great guy. He's probably going to be a main eventer in many years, maybe a year or two time. But it always feels like he's like the Wheeler Yuta generally. Wheeler Yuta's really good, and Wheeler Yuta's been in the Death Riders, and he's obviously been the fall guy. Garcia, is this something that's going to elevate him, or is this just a we don't really know where how to utilize him best? So it's better to put him in this group because it kind of fits. Because he was going to be in it. Danielson wanted him in it ages and ages ago, didn't he? If I remember
Yeah.
rightly. Is it just I don't know with it. I just a bit. I like to see it because I think it suits him as long as we get rid of the dancing side of it because he gets his
Yeah.
serious side. But I just seem to think, is this just going to be another year of him just going through the motions in the Death Riders?
I like it, man. I like the fact they've put him with
Mm,
Moxley. There is an element of we don't really know what to do with this
yeah,
guy. He's had TNT title run, and he's you
yeah,
know he's had a heel run, a face run, involved with different groups. He's really really good on the mic,
yeah,
and he's really good in the ring. But there has just been something missing. So it's as if Moxley said to Tony Khan, like, stick him with me, put him with us,
mm,
we will get the best out of him. So I'm intrigued as to some of the matches, and so I imagine long term down the line, he's going to eventually get the win over Moxley. I think that will be the way to go. That will be the payoff. Um, so yeah, I like his involvement. There was a few guys spoken about at the time when you said about Danielson. They spoke about Yuta. They spoke about obviously Danny Garcia. They spoke about Lee Moriarty. And
yeah,
I think the three, Danny has probably had the highest level of success given the title run, some of the matches that he's had.
yeah,
But yeah, there is something been stopping him reaching that next level, similar to how Kyle Fletcher seems to be making that step up now and he's involved with
yeah.
the main event. I'm sure Moxley sees that in the future for Garcia, and working with him is certainly, I think, a real positive, and something that can have a little bit of a reset. And he's going to be more of a serious character. And he's been fairly serious, but
Hmm.
as you alluded to, the dance and some of the comedy stuff that he did with Jericho's faction. Um, so yeah, I think now we've got the opportunity to see the best of Garcia, and we'll see how that plays out.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I just didn't know. Is it just a thing where they just didn't know what to do with him? But he's in with the right person, I think that's for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, just want to touch on Death Rise a minute, and one other guy quickly, Claudio Castagnoli. How do you rate his time in AEW?
solid, I suppose, would be the word that I used. He
It's
had,
solid but uneventful. Is that fair?
yeah, it's just like he's just a good wrestler amongst a lot of other good wrestlers. I mean, he's had the
He's had
Ring
the
of
Ring
Honor
of Honor
title,
championship. Yeah, he had the Ring of Honor
yeah,
championship.
and yeah, I think actually he was probably more well received as a face.
Yeah.
You know, given what happened with Danielson and what the Death Riders did, he did it. He seemed to just, I don't know, he was going along with it. We don't know why, really. Claudio was so happy and willing to go along with Moxley's plan.
Mm.
We've never heard an explanation. We've
No.
just saw the attack on Danielson. We've heard a lot from Moxley. We've heard a bit from Utah because he did he was shocked he wasn't clued in on it, and then he's
Yeah.
kind of turned on him. Marina's involvement, I thought she's been fantastic.
Yeah.
You look at what Marina was prior to the Death Riders
Oh,
and what she's
nothing.
doing now. Yeah, exactly. Nothing. A few early matches when she was, oh, what was she? She was the problem, wasn't she? And
Yeah.
yeah, a few decent matches, similar fashion. We've seen a lot of wrestlers, particularly the women, come into AEW. They win a few, and then yeah, not a lot. She's gone into the Death Riders, and she has been like one of the standout performers for me. I
Yeah.
think she has done so well in that role. But Pac was injured, still
Yeah.
injured. But again, kind of suited Pac because he's been a face at times, he's been a heel at times, but he's the bastard. It kind of suited him to go along with some of the heinous things.
Yeah.
Claudio was an all-out baby face, really getting good reactions. He had the feud with Jericho and others. So yeah, we don't know why. He just seems, you used the word journeyman earlier. Just making up the numbers seems really harsh. He's a very, very talented wrestler, and I like watching his matches. But has he achieved much more success than he achieved in WWE or anywhere else that he's been? So, how would I assess it? Good, but yeah, fairly uneventful, I suppose.
Mhm.
He's nowhere near AEW World Champion contention. He's just not in that bracket. Is he's upper mid card.
Mm.
He
Which
was
is
in
where it was.
WWE. Yeah.
Which is where it was. Yeah, where it was. Interesting. I'm glad you feel the same as me now on that
Yeah.
one. I'm a little bit confused about some booking, and look, I don't want to touch on the negative. It's not a negative. It's just an observation. When I do, I certainly don't do negative on AEW, but I just wanted to get my head around something, and I'm hoping that the man of the problem child's brain capacity here will be able to help me with this. So, Tony Khan booked a list of matches. And the winners of these matches will go on to face what championship is a card a unified championship.
Unified Championship.
Unified
Yeah.
championship. All Out. Now, for me, booking it a week out of All Out, I'm not a big fan of. He's doing the same with the tag team stuff or a tag team ladder match. And I'm not a fan of him doing it so yeah, it's kind of like I'm not a fan of it happening in 1 week because the pay-per-view's on the Saturday and it just kind of feels a bit rushed. That was a tag team one.
Yeah.
But anyway, they booked this one with Okada and there was 3 matches. And I wasn't too disappointed. The match quality was always going to be there. But one of the matches had Okada defending the championship against England's own Michael Oku. So Okada, to defend the championship, had to defend the championship so that he can defend the championship All Out. I was bamboozled by this, and I'm kind of like, wouldn't you just have 3 triple threat or maybe a fatal 4 way, perhaps make it 3 triple threat matches, and the winners of those triple threat matches will go on to face Okada in a fatal 4 way. Just seems more logical and easier to understand than Okada having to defend the championship in order for him to defend the championship at the pay-per-view.
Yeah, they've done this with they did it
Done
with
it before, haven't they?
yeah, when it was the Continental Classic, Okada was in there and he had to defend his own title.
Mm.
So yeah, I agree. I mean, there's a way to do this that you could still get Okada or Oku at some point. Maybe it was a timing thing, but they didn't have to have Oku because nobody expected Oku to beat
No.
Okada. It just wasn't going to happen.
Especially not for the title. If it was a match where he was in there, so that whoever, I know it sounds a stupid one, but like if the championship wasn't on the line, you would give Oku more of a chance because he could have got to an opportunity to face Okada again for the championship. But then it
Yeah.
wouldn't make no sense putting Okada in there if he's not defending the championship.
No, you could have had again, if, like you said, fatal four way, some other tournament. You could still have Oku versus Okada on this show.
Yeah,
Leading up to All Out next week. There was just it was unnecessary for Okada to defend the title to Oku. It was unnecessary to put Oku in that situation where, great, he's on the show, great, they're bringing him in. Like we're big fans, had him on the show, one of the
yeah,
top UK wrestlers in the world. Well, yeah, in the world,
yeah.
in the country.
Well,
Yeah,
UK, yeah,
yeah, he's doing some great things. He's going to continue to do great things, and he's going to be a bigger part of AEW moving forward, all being well. But there's no chance. This was a given. This was an absolute formality. So yeah, I didn't don't think it was particularly well thought out. But we have seen this before with an earlier iteration of this title.
yeah.
So yeah, bad booking, bad
Yeah,
booking.
not a fan of it. I'm just not a fan of him having to
No,
defend the title to go on to for him to then to have to defend the title again. I'm not a fan of it. I know you say he was right. I was right. It happened before, but I'm gonna get me wrong. The tag matches this week, I'm really looking forward to. I just feel as if the tag matches this week, and forgive me, I'm not going to read them off. I've had written down somewhere. I think it's the Bucks against the Guns in one of them. Um,
well,
and they will, and it's the same kind of format. The winners of that go to All Out in a ladder match for the tag team championship, but the Hurt Syndicate are not in there.
yeah, and also with Okada, like imagine a world where Oku beats Okada for the title, but then because of the nature of the tournament, like, Okada's out,
Yeah,
so he can't have an opportunity to face Oku in a rematch of any sort because he's been beaten for the title. So then, like, who is like Mortos and Dorada? So they get a shot at the title. Although Okada has held the title for so long, he's just lost it to Oku, and he can't have an opportunity to go to All Out to win the title. Yeah, it's a mess. It's a mess. There was no need for it. Obviously, fairly inconsequential because Okada won, and he was going to be in that match anyway.
yeah,
It's just stupid, really.
bit of a weird one. Bit of a weird one.
With you, but I'm with you with both of those.
Yeah, Eddie Kingston back at All Out as well, thankfully against Big Bill. Looking forward to that. That was another one. But last bit of news on AEW. Looking like the Acclaimed are going back together. Jerry Lynn come out this week on Bowens helped cast her out as well. Jerry Lynn got in there and said, "Look, you need them together." Is this just Tony Khan saying the singles runs for both of these was a failed experiment? Let's just bring them back because everyone loves the Acclaimed in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I think so. I think actually, I mean, it seemed like they were going to go this route with breaking them up because we speculate over it months before it actually happened. They'd sown the seeds of dissension between the two. But actually, I think there was a bit more mileage in the act. I certainly feel that now, even if I maybe didn't feel that at the time. I thought that it might be something that they, was coming to an end. I certainly feel now, and you saw that crowd reaction as well when Bowens got back in the ring.
Yeah.
Yeah, crowd were absolutely behind it, and they've continued the little tease of them both saying no, no, and walking away. Maybe they were testing the waters with it on Collision and see what the reaction was to a potential reconciliation between them. So given how that was, the response to that, I absolutely see the Acclaim joining forces again in the near future. And yeah, I think that is probably the right thing for.
Dave,
Oh,
there you go. You're back. Well,
you still there? Had I gone?
yeah, you buzzed. It's fine. You went buzzy, but the gist of it was the Acclaimed are getting back together.
Yes,
Following on
agreed.
from that buzz, um, another thing about NWA, I just want to quickly congratulate the Immortals, Odison and Kratos, for winning the Crockett Cup that I was talking about earlier on. And the even better news is that one half of those, Odison himself, will be joining myself and Fiona this coming Thursday at time. We'll be recording the interview with him on Thursday, so just wanted to make that last little piece on NWA. No TNA this week. There wasn't too much going on in the world of TNA. last week, other than the news that was kind of fake news that apparently they wasn't allowing talent to appear at MLP, the Scott D'Amore promotion, because AEW was there and they didn't want to, cause. But apparently that's been debunked by actually TNA president and by a lot of wrestlers as well. So fake news. And that, but not really much else going on into TNA world at this minute. There'll be more because we're leading into Victory Road in a couple of weeks' time. There's going to be a great match on that show, by the way. It was going to be Leon Slater defending the X Division Championship against Myron Reed. I would very much take a look at Myron Reed if I was any one of you guys out there watching. Very, very good guy. Not signed by TNA, apparently. Not yet. Anyway. But last bit of news before I start wrapping up then. Going back to WWE, unfortunately, Cody Rhodes come back this week. Him and Drew McIntyre at WrestlePalooza seems to be what it is happening for the WWE Championship. But the match that's the match that's main eventing WrestlePalooza, as Cody Rhodes was going to say. John Cena, Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar needs to buy some more jeans or pants after this week. He F5'd R-Truth or Ron Cena, depending on, Actually, I want to touch on that quickly. They sack R-Truth for whatever reason. They bring him back and try to make him more serious. And they've just made him look like an idiot again on television. Not because of this segment, but just in general. It's just gone straight back. He's now R-Truth again. He's not Ron Killings. It was Ron Cena, whatever. I just think that's a joke. Anyway, back to what I was saying. He F5s him, rips his jeans. But anyway, touched upon it. Joe Tessitore, who's one of the commentators, said that John Cena, Brock Lesnar is main event in WrestlePalooza this weekend. The issue that I have with it, Dave, is you look at that card: Cody Rhodes, Drew McIntyre, main event. You could argue championship. Realistically, you look at the CM Punk, AJ Lee, Seth Rollins, Becky Lynch, and thinking, well, that's your main event right there, because AJ Lee's kind of been overshadowed now, and she shouldn't be. I don't know why that. I mean, I say I don't know. I do know why they're putting this as a main event, Dave. But do you think that it should be the main event of WrestlePalooza, given the fact that it's just going to be a one-off match in the John Cena retirement tour?
No, I think it should be Cody Drew or the tag match. I agree with you. Again, my views, Brock Lesnar shouldn't really be anywhere near this
I know,
until
yeah.
the lawsuit is all finalized and yeah, I don't think it's good. Maybe there's a fear that I don't know if that show is on earlier, that more people might not watch and boycott it to a degree. Don't know.
Mhm.
I probably don't care, but at least if people stick around, watch the whole show, it clashes with All Out, or
Mhm.
it's on the same day as All Out.
It
Um,
is.
yeah, maybe they're thinking that if people are of the persuasion that they would rather not watch a show involving Brock Lesnar, then they'll still watch the show until Brock Lesnar appears. There's no stakes, are there, really, for this match? It's
Oh, it's
just,
just John Cena's retirement tour, isn't it? And
yeah.
that's where we are. But it's a one-off match. It's not gonna happen down the line. It's not gonna redo it. John Cena's got 6, 7 dates left, and that's it.
I've got no interest in seeing this match, to be honest with you. I don't know if it's come from Cena. I don't know whether it's something that he's requested, something he wanted, or whether it's just a case of, again, counter programming, or I don't know. I don't know, but I think this is a slap in the face to some of the other performers on the show. I do think that it overshadows AJ Lee. I don't think it's a good, again, optic, given the fact what allegedly Brock Lesnar is wrapped up in. You've got a
Mm.
returning female superstar who hasn't wrestled for 10 years, and she gets that reaction like she did in Chicago. She's been booked in this huge tag match with her husband against Seth and Becky. That's the main event for me. I'm not a huge fan of tag matches, main eventing shows,
Mm.
but I think in this case, it's absolutely the right way that this show should be topped off. So, yeah, I think perhaps they could have started with Cena Brock and then got on with the show after that. That's what I would have done.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, they've gone another way with it, and yeah, I'm not a fan of that booking.
No, I know you're not a fan of Brock coming on the, which I agree with as well, by the
No,
way.
I mean in terms of the booking, in terms of
Oh,
the placement on the card, in terms of it being the main event as well.
yeah.
So, Yeah, but what do I know?
What do you know? What do I know as well? But
Yeah.
that is coming up this coming Saturday. So for everybody, no week in wrestling next Sunday. There is an obvious reason for that, and it's a bit of a shame because we've got a lot of pay-per-views to cover off on Saturday. But it will be because our show, well, our joint show, will be back this coming Sunday. Ignite Wrestling. It will be Buckle Up Free, the final encounter, whatever you want to call it. Not the final time we're partnering with Ignite, we're partnering with Ignite for life, but it's our final show that we're going to joint produce with Ignite. So there'll be no week in wrestling next week. I may do the All Out review after All Out. It just depends. If it's going to be another 8 hour slugfest, I don't know if I'll manage to stay awake because I'm going to have to get up early for the show the next day. So I'll try, but I will we'll get to reviewing the pay-per-view shows as well. But recording this week. Now, bear in mind, when I say recording this week, doesn't mean it's coming out this week. Although the first one I am going to say will be out this week because it is the Buckle Up Free preview with CJ Carter. We're going to be talking all things Ignite on that one. But recording this week, NWA Duke City Wrestling, I think it's called. Apologize. It's one of NWA's territories. Manny Lemons. Yes, he is a lemon. He's not a lemon, but he is. His character's lemons. He'll be recording this week. I'm also recording this week with Seth Rollins is co-owner of He's a Wrestling Academy. Merrick Brave will be coming on as well. And like I've already mentioned, the one half of the Crockett Cup champions, Odison, will be coming on as well. I can now also reveal that next Wednesday week, sorry, the 24th of September, be recording with Brian Hebner. Will be coming on, the former referee, and potentially sorry, there's going to be another spotlight, independent spotlight as well. That's with Tyson Keaton, who's going to be an up and coming name over here in the UK, whose show I went to quite recently, local to me, in Essex, and potentially, and I don't know whether to say it because it's not quite guaranteed yet, but we may be talking to Brian Alvarez very soon as well from the Wrestling Observer. Maybe. I'm not confirming that by any stretch, but it's conversations that we're having as well. And somebody else who was a big name in wrestling as well, but I can't reveal that name yet just because we're not quite there on dates yet. And I don't want to say something that may or may not happen, especially because the guy is a very big name in wrestling as well. So I wouldn't want to disappoint everybody if I say a name and he doesn't appear. It's not Joe Hendry when I say that, but it's big name. Anyway, let's wrap it up on this. Like I said, no weekend wrestling wrap up next week just because we're gonna be slightly busy. But we'll sort something out. We will try. We'll maybe get to another day. I don't know. There's two fucking pay-per-views to do. There's all that and anything else that happens. But Dave, thank you as always. Go and you got to check the thumbnail picture I've put out for the when I get this out. This goes out Monday, by the way. So I'm just letting Dave know. I'll send you what I'm putting as the thumbnail picture. Actually, I'll send it to you while we're on. You will like it. We'll use it, utilizing the week in wrestling news quite well with
Oh,
this.
intrigued.
It's a what a treat, yeah. Oh, and by the way, for those Swerve Strickland fans, he's going to be the next blacksmith athlete that has a stuff for blacksmith.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, I've just
Oh,
sent you the week in wrestling thumbnail, Dave. You should by text. You should not by text, but by your on your mobile. So if you want to, I don't know if you can check out or you want
yeah,
to.
sir. Hang on.
So,
Yeah, nice.
very apt, right? Those of you that are
Yeah,
watching
yeah,
YouTube.
definitely on topic and on point.
Definitely on point.
It's just
So those of you that watch on YouTube, you would already see it. Whether you're watching it on the Wrestling Edge podcast, whether you're watching it on HTTP, it's up to you guys. Thank you for doing that anyway. We'll be dropping shows all week. This will maybe back at a later date next week. I don't know. It's going to be dependent on a Buckle Up and everything else. But for those of you that are coming to see us on Buckle Up on Sunday, look forward to seeing you. Will Scar is going to be joining us as well, an artist who has got over 10 million downloads with his artist partner David Bartolome. Will Scar will be joining us. If you want to go and check out If We Wrote the Theme on Spotify, they've done a lot of great covers of wrestling songs, including Drew McIntyre's Broken Dreams. It's one of my favorite songs that they've done so far. But they'll be back with a top 10 episode that I recorded this week with the top 10 wrestling video games, and that'll have a really good thumbnail as well. But Dave, thank you as always. We'll see you again for another show very, very soon. It
Thank
will.
you for having me. I'm sorry I was a bit negative and bitchy, but
I was literally going to come on and explode about the WWE stuff, but I'd had a couple of days. If I'd recorded it on the day, I'm not sure it would have been made the YouTube policies.
yeah. And I always like to play devil's advocate if I can and offer a different view. I don't just like to,
No,
like saying with you and me, if we differ on an opinion, then we'll discuss it and try and offer our thoughts. But with that stuff, there's no defending it. As I say, more the ticket pricing for me and the attitude
yeah,
towards the ticket pricing than the location of the show, although I do have reservations and issues with that. I'm not, like I said earlier, didn't massively surprise me, but I just can't get behind that type of stuff. And yeah, as I say, from our point of view, at least we get an earlier WrestleMania. It's been many, many years since I watched the WrestleMania live. So looking like
yeah.
27 will be the next one that
But
I do watch live.
yeah, and the Royal Rumble will be live early for us in January. So that's my favorite pay-per-view. And I know really what I do know from the Royal Rumble in January. I'm sorry for rabbiting on, guys. We should be wrapping up. But what I do know from the Royal Rumble in January is that I'm going to be having a lot of nostalgia because we know what it's like with Saudi Arabia and nostalgia. So there should be a lot of older sort of people coming back perhaps for that. I don't
I
know.
think Chris Jericho will be there, but we'll perhaps talk about that next time.
Oof. There's it. There's one for you guys. Put your money on that straight away. Jericho and the Royal Rumble. We will talk Jericho on the next show. We'll make a point of that. But guys, follow us. You can follow us on many different ways. You can follow us HTT Buckle on X, HTT Buckle on YouTube, Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast on other social media outlets. You can follow it at Wrestling Edge as well. Go there. You'll see a back catalogue of some of our stuff dropping on there. So wherever one you're following us, thank you. But until next time, everybody, buckle down, stay safe, and goodbye.